I'm András László and you're watching TVP World Talks. Now, less than a year before Hungarians head to the polls, the political campaign has already become blisteringly intense, with serious accusations being made by the major contenders in the impending race. Viktor Orbán has accused the country's opposition of threats of violence, while the opposition Tisza party claims the government is trying to infiltrate its ranks and erode its reputation by publishing fake statements allegedly coming from opposition lawmakers. But is the legal system in Hungary, a country often accused of democratic backsliding, still up to the task of resolving these complaints? Joining us now is András László Pap, professor at Central European University. Hello and welcome to TVP World.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
So let's take a look at these accusations and what they signify. Now, the opposition Tisza party says that government-related operators are actually trying to infiltrate it, trying to undermine its support by publishing from fake profiles statements which have never been made by members of Tisza. Now, what sort of remedies does the opposition have under the current legal system in order to address this issue?
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'm not sure this is really a legal question, or this is. I mean, I'm actually expecting the campaign to get rougher and rougher. So I think this is just the first step here. So I actually don't see anything extraordinary as of now. What we have to see is that, well, you know, in the past years or decades with new technologies, we've seen, you know, political campaigns, you know, including newer methods. One of them is, of course, having, you know, trying to manipulate electoral campaigns with fake news and fake videos. And of course, you know, with the new party, I think infiltration is something that is not really unexpected to happen. I mean, what we also see in Hungary is, and that has been around for quite some time, that Fidesz has been. I mean, there have been accusations or suppositions that some opposition or independent parties are in fact proxies for Fidesz. So a lot of times what we see is that one of the current far-right parties in parliament have consistently been voting with Fidesz. So some claim that this is also a proxy Fidesz party. So but I think this is somewhat of a normal or an expected, I guess, campaign behavior on behalf of parties that have resources and you know they so you know, as far as I'm a constitutional lawyer and not a political analyst. So what I see now that so far this is within the normal range of constitutional law and sort of what the shaken but somewhat still existent legal system of the country still allows so I don't see anything having passed the legal boundaries so far. But again, I expect much rougher measures and much rougher and tougher campaign steps to be coming.
But you're saying that no legal boundaries have been crossed. But if you actually have someone impersonating a member of a political party, how does it classify? Does it actually entail any sort of legal measures which could be taken? For example, an action in defamation or identity theft or something related to intellectual property? Because I find it difficult to imagine that you can simply do this and the legal system will not actually kick in with some sort of reaction there.
No, exactly. I mean, what I was saying, that this is not something that the regular sort of civil law legal regimes and institutions would not be able to tackle. So I'm not saying that nothing illegal has happened. Of course, we don't see all the information. What I'm trying to say is that at this point, I think this is something that's way within the limits of a civil lawsuit, as you said, defamation, or so I think if if things are as Peter Magyar claims that they are, then the legal remedies are available, and there have been concerns regarding the independence of the Hungarian judicial system and whatnot. But I don't think that that this would be anything at this point that the legal system would not be able to tackle and manage at this point.
Aren't you concerned that perhaps the legislation which the government has been proposing, namely the so-called foreign agent law, would make it more difficult to pursue claims like that, specifically because of the freezing effect on the coverage, for example, of the media being pressured even further not to cover certain stories? Would you say that perhaps this could also have a knock-on effect of making it more difficult for individuals to pursue claims before the courts, because in some cases the evidence would not be quite readily available in politically contingent cases as it is now, because journalists can still unearth this evidence and bring it to light where individuals would not be able to do so on their own?
Now, that is an issue where very serious concerns can be, and actually very alarming concerns pop up in terms of, if this law would be passed, then I think this is, it's very difficult to determine why the government has decided to postpone the adoption of this law. And again, this is postponement, so this is not abandonment, but this is not something that the government would, with its 2/3 majority and its very determined approach and very determined political campaign that's already in a very high profile mode. So if this law was adopted, that would be a very serious case. So this is something that would seriously shock not only the legal system but also the external circumstances and the external inputs for the legal system. So I think those the consequences of that law would be unforeseeable, and they would have an unprecedented effect on constitutional, on the remains of the constitutional system and democracy that Hungary has now. So that is a very big question lingering above us. What will if this law will be revisited and adopted in the fall, which the government at this point says.
So would you say that the checks and balances are in fact being eroded to the point that they can no longer guarantee certain rights of citizens, and in particular members of the opposition, to ensure a fair competition in the course of this election race?
It's very difficult to say. I mean, so far the entire philosophy and the structure of the Orbán regime has been the sort of the very nature of this hybrid democracy, or this type of authoritarianism, is that there is a very that there is a formal commitment to the rule of law, and that there's a legal debate with the European Union and the Council of Europe and all these things. So so far a line has not been, the borders have always been, the boundaries have always been pushed, but there is a red line that has not yet been crossed. Now this law could be that line. So the big question is, this is what people, and again, I'm not saying this as an expert. I'm saying this as a citizen of this country. This is what people are talking about. Are there going to be elections? Are there, is there going to be, a peaceful transition of power in case, the opposition wins or something? So these are the anecdotal, assessment. This is the anecdotal assessment of the situation. But so far, we are at the merge of the red line, that that the red tape that has never been crossed, and that law would be a very important element of that. But so far, it's really difficult to predict. At this, I mean, Hungary still is a member of the European Union, the Council of Europe, so it's very difficult to imagine at this point that there would be a departure from all of this. You see that the dynamics, the political dynamics would say that, well, if the government actually crosses a red line that would actually trigger an even a very severe would have very severe political consequences of people who would upset and alienate an even larger amount of voters. That's the dynamics. So there is the political dimension and there is the legal dimension. So far, what I can say is that the campaign so far only hasn't brought anything new that the legal system should not be able to cope with. But again, that can change. So the legal system in this regard is volatile to newer dimensions of weakening.
András László Pap, Professor of Law at the Eötvös University, was our guest today here on TVP World. Thank you very much for joining us and for sharing your insight.
Thank you.
And I'm Miłosz Szewiński. You're watching TVP World. Please stay with us here on TVP World for more latest news and updates.